So I'm kind of pretending to be at your exhibition that kind of didn't quite happen the way we hoped it would. But we'll come to that in due course. So can you please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your involvement with creative arts?
My name's Liz Collier, and I'm a visual artist. It just doesn't really describe it, to be honest. I might even have to ask you to start.
No, it's absolutely fine.
No, it's fine. I don't mind being. I don't mind being myself. Yeah, my name's Liz Collier, and I'm an artist, and I paint and draw and write and facilitate and dance and DJ and stare at things and think about things, feel stuff, you know. I'm quite awkward and confident, a strange combination.
Yeah. It's nice. It is that that's I've kind of realised that now. Yeah, that perfectly describes it, and that's brilliant. It's like being completely comfortable about being a bit awkward.
I'm not so sure about the completely.
Well, yes, absolutely.
Comes and goes, ebbs and flows.
So to give people an idea of the kind of scope of the visual arts that you create, can you describe for yourself a little bit about the amazing exhibition that you had down at the Auxiliary? Because I mean, this was just one room of it, wasn't it? And this is kind of one particular style of what you do, but each room seemed to be very different.
I would say that I'm an improviser. And that definitely came from a place of, having a lot of time on my hands as a kid, and not a lot of, having to make up one's own extracurricular activities. And there wasn't a lot of money around. I had my parents really creative and resourceful. So there was always plenty of time to disappear into a world of drawing and story writing and making things up, I don't ever think it occurred to me to kind of drop that and go and do something else as an adult. It was just something I always did. And I remember being in my late teens, early 20s, and a chap I knew who saw some of my artwork and said, "Oh, these would look really good if we did them on a larger scale." So I did. I had a go at that, and that whole kind of era of just sort of doodling on a larger scale, kind of going from using pen and paper to kind of painting on, going around charity shops and getting all bed sheets and painting on them with made up acrylic paint, poster paint and PVA and all that kind of thing, that kind of just driven by some kind of insane desire to just be doing, making things. I've probably lost track of your question now. We'll just go wandering.
This is quite brilliant, actually, because you've been answering one of my other questions that I haven't asked yet, which is terrific. I was asking you specifically about the exhibition at the Auxiliary.
You were.
And the rooms that we can't see here.
Thank you. So I turned 50 last year, and I had it quietly in mind to put an exhibition on as a personal acknowledgement and celebration for still being alive and still finding creative ways of doing things. I was never kind of formally educated in the arts. It's kind of like the self-taught label, even though it doesn't feel particularly like true, because I think you end up doing I did do a lot of research and, you know, looked at what my peers were doing and read a lot and went to exhibitions and stuff. But yeah, I had it in mind that I wanted to kind of, for want of a better word, honour my path, and know that it's not an easy path for any of us, whatever path we take. But yeah, I felt like I wanted to sort of acknowledge that. So I was like looking for a venue to do it. I quite like that thing of one of the things I like about kind of coming through a different route is that it was like, I'll find a way to put a big exhibition on in a big gallery. I won't go to a gallery with a portfolio and ask for somebody's permission. Will you accept me to do this? It's like, I'll go seeking that. I'll find a building, and I got offered to use the auxiliary space, which I worried wasn't big enough. And
it's only 11,000 square feet.
Oh, silly Billy. Anyway, so what I wanted to do was, it was a bit of a retrospective. It ended up being sort of. Liam and Anna invited me in the December last year, and I love it when I've got like a little bit of a project or a mission. I'm like all in, like, yeah, someone wants me to do something. I'm on it, and I'm like, off I go. And I went into this winter of just like personal archaeology, really, and was looking back and kind of going, oh bloody hell, yeah, God, I did that, and I did that, and I did that, and oh God, thank God I kept all this stuff and didn't give away all of it or burn all of it, which has been, you know, a little bit of a pattern of mine as well. So I was showcasing work from across the sort of 20, 30-year period, and then looking and seeing what themes had been like reoccurring passions, if you like. And I could see like the evolution of my style and my work, and it was really beautiful as well to kind of, for me to see the huge influence my community practice had on my personal practice, and how, again, coming from a non-academic background, how that had really informed how I was able to facilitate and kind of coming in not as a teacher but as just like an impassioned individual, really wanting to support people finding their voice through lots of different art forms. So it's like that classic thing where you learn a lot about something by looking back and sort of kind of going, oh yeah, this chaotic path, it wasn't chaos, it was chaotic, it is chaotic, but there's some kind of order in the chaos. So I found that quite exciting. And the pieces behind you were like a bit like the full stop. I wanted to underline an era, you know. I really wanted to say, this is what I've done up to this point, draw a line, here's what's coming next. And then we've got a pandemic. And I was like, oh, Christ. Couldn't have predicted that one. And the pieces behind you were a love letter to the world. As a way of saying thank you for all of the things that had inspired me, movement and colour, shape, form, beauty of Mother Nature, the unpredictability of spontaneity, and just enjoying the process. God, that's a bloody long sentence, isn't it? That was, sorry.
Honestly, sentence structure in this process is completely out of the window. It's great when you edit transcripts and realize how rarely it is for anyone to speak in sentences, which is actually like, that was a big bit about me finally making the breakthrough with writing dialogue for plays, realizing that write anything in a full sentence, it probably isn't right, because that's not how people speak.
No, they don't, do they? People interrupt and everything.
Yeah, well, this is because it's a semi-biographical piece, so yeah, my character interrupts loads. It's made me so aware of how much I interrupt. It's like I tell myself off through my plays. So obviously, the pandemic's affected things, but are you still creating? And when you drew that line and said that's the past and I'm now creating the future, did you have any idea about the future you wanted to create, or were you just intending to let it unfold?
No, I didn't. Beyond the intention of imagining that it would involve more of the same or similar, but also really wanting to leave a wide open space for something else to emerge. Yeah, I didn't really have a plan. I really did want to sort of see. It felt like a big stretch to do the show. It was good to test my, to sort of stretch myself. And I think as a result of, there were some things that I wanted to do as part of the show that I didn't get to do. So maybe there's some workshops I want to run with the public that hopefully will happen in another way. Yeah. I have managed to carry on being creative. I've got a space at home, as well as taking on a studio space in the auxiliary. So I moved the exhibition upstairs, packed it all away, turned everything that I hadn't sold against the wall, and sort of started again. And I started tearing up all pieces and collaging with old work and making really small pieces, like really tiny. And it felt like it was something to do with like holding things and things being really tactile in this kind of era where we haven't been able to touch as much. So there was something really loving and meditative and prayerful about just these like little abstract meanderings. You know, often it might be a way of processing what I'd heard on the news that day, or processing some kind of unnameable emotional experience I was in. So now in the studio, Lisa, I've got like suitcases full of all these collages. So I've made another show by accident. You know, I don't kind of generally do like big plans of like, I don't really know. I like the kind of formlessness of things. I'm quite up for the mystery of like not really knowing what the outcome would be. Yeah.
So what is it all about? Why do we do art? You know, why do you do it? What does it do to society? Yeah, what's it all about, Liz?
What a brilliant question. There's a lot of reasons, I think. Because we can. Because we're bored. Because we want to move something through and out of ourselves. Because we want a mirror. And because we like to share most of the time. It's a connector. Connects us to ourselves and each other, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been really interesting to see older and older art being discovered, and really interested to think about art in relation to human consciousness.
Yes.
And was that the beginning of human consciousness? I mean, music, because of the, you know, that sound that we spend the first 9 months of our life with, that vroom, 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 you know, coarse music. But then art.
I'm with you. I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, don't start anything right now.
Never too far from the woo.
Yeah, oh dear. I've some mornings back from all-nighters when you just stood in the tube station and you're like, yeah, you find a beat anywhere, can't you?
The sound of a bus reversing. The beep, beep, beep.
On,
beep.
having it. Brilliant. Do you know what? I'm just going to leave it there because I don't think we can get any better than this. I've got in about 5 minutes. Just to say, you know, at the end of this, when we are allowed, then, you know, hoping to put on an event down at the Auxiliary with like all 250 people contributing in some way, you know, exhibitions, a day and night thing. So like workshops and seminars and stuff in the morning, leading to like performances and stuff in the afternoon, building up to a massive party in the nighttime. And I've plans for a non-shit version of the Hitman and Her. It's going to be like the Her Man and Him. Like, I'm Pete Waterman, and I've got a dashing young chap to be my little Michaela.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, and we just broadcast live and direct the whole day and night, like during the day, whisking people up to the studio to do like radio interviews, and then kind of walking around and sort of beaming live and direct the performances, and then yeah, just like classic Hitman and Her, just going to speak to all the people completely off their heads because they're out for the first time in years. So when we get to that stage, we can yeah, I can't wait for all of that. But in the meantime, maybe we'll see you down at the Orcs in a slightly less crowded capacity. It's been absolutely lovely to talk to you. Take care.
Yeah. Bye, love. Bye bye.
Little Pip.